Hello and welcome to AeroAtlas. On June 1st, 2009, an Air France Airbus A330, operating as Flight 447, vanished over the mid-Atlantic, en route from Rio de Janeiro to Paris. All 228 people on board were lost. What was initially an unfathomable mystery became one of the most sobering lessons in modern aviation history. This wasn't a case of catastrophic mechanical failure or an explosion. It was a devastating combination of a minor technical glitch and, critically, human factors. The failure led to the loss of automation, pushing a well-trained crew to their limits, with tragic consequences. The incident began as Flight 447 was navigating a powerful equatorial thunderstorm system. At high altitude, the aircraft flew into a zone of supercooled water droplets, which instantly froze and obstructed the pitot tubes, small probes essential for measuring air pressure, which is then translated into airspeed. This is a known, though rare, event. When the pitot tubes failed, the aircraft's computers received inconsistent airspeed data. Because the system could no longer trust its primary inputs, a core safety feature, the autopilot disconnected, immediately transferring control back to the human pilots. The aircraft automatically switched into a degraded mode of flight control, known as alternate law. The loss of automation and the blaring alarms created a situation of extreme stress, a startle effect, for the two first officers in the cockpit. The aircraft was temporarily without reliable airspeed information, but it was still flying safely. The correct procedure would have been to maintain a level flight path and set the engines to a standard cruising power. Instead, the pilot flying, seemingly confused about the altitude or the aircraft's state, made a fatal persistent error. He abruptly pulled the side stick back and held it there for much of the 4-minute descent. This action commanded a sharp nose-up input. The aircraft, now flying too slowly and with its nose pitched too high, entered an aerodynamic stall at 38,000 feet. For the next 3.5 minutes, the plane was essentially falling, descending at a rate of over $12,500 per minute. The aircraft's stall warning system, designed to alert the crew to danger, sounded 75 times. Yet because the pitot tubes were still intermittently iced over and thus reading an unreliable speed, the warning system occasionally cut out, which may have confused the crew. Despite one of the pilots realizing the nose was too high, the critical recovery action, pushing the nose down to regain speed and lift, was never performed correctly. The crew struggled with conflicting information and failed to establish a shared understanding of the problem. A breakdown in crew resource management, CRM. The aircraft struck the ocean surface intact, at a high vertical speed. The disaster of AF 447 underscored the danger of pilots becoming over-reliant on automation. The subsequent investigation led to profound changes across the global aviation industry. New directives mandated the replacement of the original pitot tubes across the fleet. Crucially, pilot training was completely overhauled, placing a much stronger emphasis on manual flying skills and the ability to manage the aircraft during high-altitude, degraded instrument scenarios, especially recognizing and recovering from an aerodynamic stall. The tragedy of Flight 447 remains a vital, painful reminder that the human element is the ultimate failsafe, and that proficiency in the fundamentals is non-negotiable, even in the age of automation.